our main project is this Grow Biointensive Research and Demonstration Site. Also developing Grow Biointensive for this climate, so figuring out the spacing that works best for each crop in this climate. It's a very cool microclimate, so there's a lot to learn. And then the demonstration part is workshops and tours like this one, so that people can see what we're doing and see what this method is, and our hopes would be to inspire people with what they see here. We start everything in these wooden seedling flats, so part of the intensive planting principle is starting everything from seed, which usually gives us faster germination and allows us to be growing a crop in the beds when we're having plants starting here, but also allows us to be really selective, so only choosing the healthiest ones to come out and transplant into the beds. And then if we lose a plant or two, we always have extra as well, spot-in plants, because we definitely always want to have maximum efficiency in the bed, so we have that full coverage and we get the living mulch. In the case of grains, because they grow so quickly, we actually just broadcast them on the surface of the soil, and then within 1 to 2 weeks they're ready to go into the bed, so they don't spend very much time here. So I'm going to measure out 0.6 ounces of seed, and this number accounts for germination rate. So for rye, I believe it's legal 70%, so it accounts for that. It accounts for having enough plants for 25 square feet, but also for that extra. So if I lose a few after transplant, I've got some extra. And it allows for me to select the healthiest or fastest growing rye plants. So you can do this with a little cup, but I like to just do it by hand. And now I'm essentially trying to spread all of the seed as evenly as possible on the surface of the soil. Our flat mix is just simply 50% compost, cured compost, and 50% bed soil. So again, we're starting all of our seed in the soil from the beds that they're going to be growing in, so they're getting a bit of a sneak peek at what the soil conditions will be like. We're trying not to compact the soil as much as possible. Right, Whitney?
Yeah.
So if I were to spray directly down, I'm going to be compacting that soil, closing off the pore space, making it a little more difficult for these seeds to germinate and spread their roots out. Everything that we put into the soil when we water, all of the principles are based around improving soil health first, and then plant health is a result. And then if you're looking for income, then income would be the third thing that we consider in the system.
You could look from above, everything is in a hexagon. And so you're absolutely the most maximal space that you can, and an equal distance between every plant, if we've done it correctly. And some of the benefits of that are that, you know, now these don't have a lot of leaves, but when they did, you know, the canopy of this plant would reach the canopy of that plant. And that is then protecting our soil. So we're losing less water to evaporation because the sun can't get through, less weeds are growing. So, you know, interesting to see here how much weeds there are in this bed. This type grew very skinny compared to that type. So were I to grow this again, I probably would do an experiment of planting it a bit closer together.
It's a very math-focused method that we use here, mainly just to maximize efficiency, so the number of plants, and figuring out how many plants to start. Working in 100 square foot chunks makes it quite easy. 60% of the planted area is growing compost crops, so crops that provide a lot of calories, but also a significant amount of structural carbon for our compost piles. Composting is one of the 8 core principles of this system, and really, really important for long-term sustainability and soil fertility.
It's a specific ratio of immature material, so plants that haven't reached complete maturity, mature material, so our thick, stocky, crunchy stuff, a bit of soil, so the microbes from our garden are in the compost, so that we're feeding
an inoculation.
Like an inoculation. And then a bit of water, because we don't want it to get too hot and burn off the microbes that are there. We want them to kind of do a slow burn, you know, slow and steady.
Yeah, quinoa is a great example. So anything that's grown to maturity and then harvested would be considered a compost crop for us. Quinoa, we did have 2 beds of amaranth here, but unlike quinoa, the amaranth did not take the -5 nights that we had in early September. One adult would be, in this colder climate, I'd say probably 25 to 30 beds. So 2,500 to 3,000 square feet would grow a diet for all year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the important part to consider, that it's not focusing just on the vegetable crops that we can feed ourselves in the warm climates because it's fun, but that it's a whole diet.
It depends socially how people feel about that, but for it to be totally long-term sustainable and truly closed loop, then yeah, we have to recycle our own waste as well. Urine, yeah, and then composting human manure.
Grains have a lot of protein. You know, when we start talking about this system, especially because vegan people often worry about nutrients and about protein.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, and we're not used to knowing where all of those things come from, but grains have a huge amount of protein in them. Right here, this green patch and this yellow patch, these are both oats. They're planted on the same day.
Interesting.
They're two different varieties.
Oh, right.
And so who knows the why, what, or how of what made this one mature so much faster in this specific climate, this specific summer. But if we were to only choose one next year, we would focus solely on this one, because it's been ready for quite a while, and if you've picked one that you can see, if it's not completely ready, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
And in a short season, you want to eat.
Those open pollinated seeds will constantly be adapting to their climate and have a lot larger genetic diversity packed in there, so they can go towards a warmer climate or towards a colder climate. You can select seed from the strongest plants each year. Just by doing that, you're developing a crop that thrives in your climate. GMOs are all hybrids, so that's all I'm going to say about GMOs. Not just trying to get whatever I can out of the soil, but looking and observing and including myself in how this whole system is working instead of as an outside influence. Those are the 8 core principles that govern Grow Biointensive.
For us to empower people and communities, it's like, if you grow this, we want you to be able to keep it. We want you to own this.